What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, be sure to go down below the video, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Today we get to look at something I've been super excited about for a little while now. Before we get started though, I want to thank the team at Numskull for sending over this machine to have a look at. Now this is the official Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time quarter arcade cabinet made by Numskull Designs. And to me, this isn't just a review of the product, it's a journey back in time filled with loads of nostalgia for me personally, as my first ever arcade machine experience was with Turtles in Time, and now it's been reimagined in a unique quarter scale format. Now, as always, let's go ahead and unbox and explore a bit. The box this thing comes in is actually really big, and it's both a modern but at the same time got a retro vibe to it. Inside of the box, the first thing that we see is a fairly good length USB-C charging cable. Then we have the arcade machine itself, which we will set aside for the moment. Next is a bag that has some promotional material for their online community, an instruction manual, and 4 appropriately colored insert coin stickers. Now you can choose to apply these to the coin doors on the front of the machine if you'd like, or you can simply leave them off. It's totally personal preference. The Turtles in Time cabinet is an official, fully playable quarter scale replica of Konami's 1991 classic arcade game. Numskull's done an incredible job in recreating nearly every detail authentically, from the artwork to the shape and even the gameplay and emulation. They even have Michelangelo's buttons in orange rather than the yellow like we mostly see in arcades nowadays, and as they would have been on the original machine. There are a few minor exceptions, like the small Nickelodeon logo on the marquee, as well as some copyright info on the bottom of both sides, but they actually did a really nice job to where you really don't notice it so much unless you're specifically looking for it. Now this isn't just a display piece, it's a functional machine that really can comfortably be played in a couple of different ways actually, that brings the arcade experience right into your home. Looking around the device, we have a 4-player setup of functional controls, one dedicated to each turtle. Below that we have the light up coin buttons, which actually function as the insert coin mechanism, and a little lower than that we have 2 additional coin door panels that have a press release style doors that when opened up reveal some USB ports which can actually be used to plug in external controllers, but I will get back to that a little later in the video. On the back is where we have all of our main power and volume controls, including a power switch, USB Type-C charging port, and our volume dial. Now let's go ahead and get technical for a minute with a bit of a teardown. Now I was really curious to see what exactly made this machine tick, so I cracked it open and had a look. Honestly, everything inside looks super clean and well designed. It was super easy for me to poke around and get access to all of the components, so if something were to ever happen to this machine down the road, I'd actually feel pretty confident it would be fairly easy to get repaired, or to repair it yourself, apart from maybe the main PCB going up in flames or something like that. Now the machine has an RK3128 SoC running a quad-core ARM Cortex A7MP processor, which should be clocked in at about 1.2 GHz, unless for some reason Numskull decided to underclock it. Now that comes coupled with the Mali 400 MP2 GPU and 2 GB of DDR3 RAM. There is a large 6-inch TFT display running in the correct 4:3 aspect ratio, but it's not all as it seems. When you actually poke around on the inside of the machine, you actually have a much larger widescreen monitor, and what's happening is they're just displaying the content in a 4:3 aspect ratio cropped into around 6 inches, and then the rest of the screen is going to be covered up by the bezel. Next, these arcades include a 2200 mAh battery, which should give you about a couple of hours of continuous gameplay with a screen this size. And I will say that I think the battery capacity is a bit on the lighter side, and this machine could have benefited from a 32 to 3500 mAh battery, but like I mentioned earlier, this could very easily be done at any point in the future since the battery is super easy to access. One of the standout features of this cabinet is its obvious attention to detail. The machine is made out of wood, and the artwork, including the light up marquee, are faithfully recreated from the original design, aside from the Nickelodeon logo and the copyright information I mentioned earlier. The side panels are vibrant and rich in color, and it's really sharp without any visible pixelation or anything along those lines. They did a good job interfacing that onto the side of the machine. The sticks and buttons on the control deck feel really good and they're super responsive, and the TFT screen has the new CRT lens screen cover, giving it a subtle CRT style look and feel we all remember from the original arcade machines. Now, the gameplay experience on this cabinet is superb. Here's a tiny little bit of gameplay with some audio for you guys to check out.
Let it show! My toes! My toes!
Banishing you into a time warp from which you will never return.
Now, the machine uses the original arcade ROM, ensuring that the game plays exactly as you remember. Now, one thing I did notice while playing was that there is a scan line filter, but it didn't really look all that great and had some strange lines from time to time. And I wasn't completely surprised by this because creating a really good scan line filter for retro games actually be a pretty big challenge. Now, thankfully, Numskull included a way to turn this off, in addition to having access to dip switch settings that allow you to adjust things like making your character invincible or increasing your starting lives. All you have to do is hold down on the player 1 and 2 attack buttons at the same time while you are trying to power on your machine. Then you can make whatever adjustments you'd like and hop right into some time traveling gameplay. Being able to have up to 4 players simultaneously is a great feature, but obviously not an ideal scenario when using the control deck itself. That's actually where those USB ports I mentioned earlier would come in handy. Essentially, you can plug in a third-party controller. In my case, I used an Xbox controller or a PS1 controller, and I was able to play the game a lot more comfortably. Now, here is the kicker though. On the control deck, you can pick any character and play as them by simply inserting a coin in their specific locations on the control deck. However, with the USB ports, it doesn't matter which of the 4 USB ports you plug into, it will always default to player 1 position and you'd end up being Leonardo. Now, the only workaround for this is to plug in additional controllers in order to gain access to your favorite turtle. For example, if you wanted to play as Donatello, you'd need to have a third controller plugged into the machine and then use that to actually play through the game. Now, I think this could be a relatively easy fix for Numskull, and hopefully this is something they'll consider fixing on future multiplayer machines. Now, looking at this thing as a whole, it's obvious that Numskull has really focused on quality and durability here. The cabinet feels solid, the artwork is well adopted, and the build quality is really excellent. It's large enough to be a statement piece, but compact enough to fit comfortably in your home, measuring 17.5 inches in height, about 9 inches in width, and 9.5 inches in depth. From my personal experience, the machine is not only arcade accurate, but also brings a lot of fun to any gathering. And I found that my friends and my daughter actually like to pick it up and play around with it whenever they're around. It's just a cool thing to see. Now, the ability to play with the built-in controls or plug in third-party controllers is a huge plus. The screen is bright and the game looks incredible. And the sound quality is actually fantastic as well. So all in all, they did a great job here. If you're a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Turtles in Time quarter-scale arcade machine by Numskull is an exceptional addition to your collection. It's a blend of nostalgia, playability, and quality craftsmanship, making it a perfect item for really any retro gamer. Pricing on these though is a little bit on the higher side, around $300 or so, but it does carry its value fairly well, and I think that for collectors it's probably worth its weight. Thank you for joining me on this detailed look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time quarter arcade machine. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this machine. Is the price too high, or can you stomach the bill? Do you think that these machines are too big, or are they actually a good size? But that's pretty much all I've got for you guys in this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll speak to you guys again real soon.